My first question is, as the principal at a corporate site selection company, what parts of the New York City mayoral election race are your clients paying the most attention to?
Well, this race has really taken on a life of its own. We call it the Mamdani effect, and significant concerns throughout the five boroughs about what a Mamdani mayoralty will look like. We're seeing a number of markets around the country actively court businesses and job creators that potentially want to leave New York. We're seeing South Florida. We're seeing Dallas. We're even seeing regional markets like Westchester County, Fairfield County, Nassau and Suffolk County, Jersey City across the Hudson River, even suburban Philadelphia markets like Horsham, Pennsylvania, or Wilmington, Delaware, be proactive with new efforts to attract New York City businesses. And another impact this is having, the rise of Mamdani has really energized some of the more radical elements of the Democratic Party coast to coast. So this will have business climate and business community ramifications in every big city in the U.S. It's something our clients are very concerned about.
And you mentioned that Mamdani effect. Can you explain in detail what that effect is?
Sure. I mean, anti-business policies. There's been so much talk about his inability to unilaterally raise taxes. Okay, he wants to do an increase of the corporate tax. He wants to do other types of wealth taxes that requires state legislature approval. But who's to say that there will be really a bulkhead, okay, against that type of initiative should he be victorious tonight? And again, his political brand really energized with the global attention, global fundraising abilities. This will have enormous political capital that he'll gain should he be victorious tonight. And look, the other part of this is the quality of life issues above and beyond tax and spend and free buses and free grocery stores. Real concerns about quality of life issues, policing issues. Okay, who will his next police commissioner be? Okay, he extended the invitation supposedly to Jessica Tisch. There's no guarantee that she'd even want to stay on and hitch her wagons to someone that's advocated publicly for defunding the police and investing in, rather than police officers, investing in more social workers to respond to potentially life and death situations in subways and throughout the five boroughs. That's a real concern. And those quality of life issues, I mean, things like potentially decriminalizing sex workers. Okay, that's something that concerns not just large businesses and job creators, but also hardworking middle-class New Yorkers that already feel they're not getting a solid return on their tax dollar when it comes to these, very basic law and order and public safety and quality of life issues.
And can you talk a little more about what business relocation could mean for the city, but as well as what that could mean for Long Island?
This could potentially be an economic development opportunity. We're already seeing an uptick in interest for areas in Long Island, Nassau, and Suffolk County. Westchester, particularly New Rochelle, has been a market that's been high growth for some time. Yonkers is getting a lot of attention. I mentioned Jersey City across the Hudson and some of the other markets I mentioned. So not every company will want to leave to a Dallas or Miami. Many will, but some won't. Some will look for a regional alternative. Other companies will stay because they're so deeply embedded in New York. They'll look for ways to stay and do business with the new administration and look for areas of common ground, like potentially more upzoning and expedited permitting for low-income housing. We'll see how it plays out. One thing Mamdani has talked about that many of our clients like is appointing a World Cup czar to maximize tourism potential and tourism opportunities ahead of the World Cup next year. That's interesting. And many of our hospitality clients are excited about that. But by and large, there's tremendous concern. It's the Mamdani effect. It's real. There's been a 33% uptick in driver's license transfers from New York to Miami the first half of 2025. That coincides with the rise of Mamdani. You're seeing home listings in markets like Westchester. Home sales actually skyrocket since the ascension of Mamdani. So this is real, and it's something that will have national implications, indeed global implications. Okay, this will impact New York's desirability as an FDI magnet. Okay, think about the billions of dollars that Israeli companies pump into the Big Apple economy. A lot of its geopolitical positions could really have a severe impact on a lot of that Israeli investment and other countries allied with Israel and their investment decisions. Look, there's an old saying in the site selection business and the real estate business: companies want to minimize risk, and Mondami is a risk.
You mentioned with the World Cup coming up that a lot of hospitality businesses seem like they're more likely to stay in New York, but are there any other businesses that you see, or any types of businesses that you see more likely to leave?
I think you're going to see, more of the banking and financial services industry, which has already been leaving the Big Apple over the past several years. You have the rise of the new Wall Streets, markets like Dallas and Miami and Boca Raton, Florida, and West Palm Beach and Charlotte and Raleigh that have attracted a lot of banking industry. We expect this to be Exodus 2.0 and another fuel on more gasoline on that fire for companies to realize the business cost and the business climate advantages of some of those markets, as well as the tax advantages and quality of life advantages. Keep in mind, too, a lot of those markets I mentioned, the new Wall Streets, Dallas, Miami, Boca Raton, West Palm Beach, these are markets that have an influx of new Class A amenity-rich office space, okay, and cost of living advantages that make these markets desirable for the workers at companies like J.P. Morgan or Goldman Sachs or Citadel.
And with that desirability in a market, what's currently desirable about a New York City market that could potentially change?
Well, I mean, New York is the epicenter of so many global industries, from banking to healthcare, film, multimedia, the fashion industry, logistics, and transportation. Okay, there's a unique connectivity that the Big Apple has in the global marketplace. It continues to be a magnet for young, talented workers around the globe to realize their dreams. It's a city of innovation again, and it survived many, many crises in the past, going back to the 70s, the financial crisis, 9/11, okay, the pandemic. It survived a series of bad mayors. The concern here is that Mamdani really represents a paradigm shift. And even if he loses at the 11th hour, it looks like he's going to win tonight, according to the most recent polling. But even if he loses tonight, the concern is that the genie is out of the bottle. And that from this point forward, New York City will forever be just one election cycle away from electing a full-on anti-business socialist or communist, depending upon your perspective, from the same wing of the Democratic Party that just several years ago killed the Amazon HQ2 deal.
If Mamdani does win tonight, what are you expecting to change the most about the market?
But I think that there's been so much due diligence over the past several months. Companies already deciding whether or not they want to leave. Many companies that are coming off a lease over the next couple of years have been doing their due diligence. I think it will be the final straw for a lot of companies making the decision to leave New York City, particularly companies coming off a major lease over the next 18 months or so. This could be the final straw. We'll see. But one of the takeaways tomorrow is that the old saying, when New York sneezes, the entire global economy can catch a cold. This will have ramifications on every big city in America, how this will energize radical left-wing candidates throughout the ballot in major big cities. This is going to create major business climate, major business community concerns coast to coast. He will be the biggest political superstar in America tomorrow morning, should he be victorious.
What's something that consumers can do to prepare for a potential business relocation on such a massive scale?
Well, this is a difficult time for many hardworking New Yorkers with the affordability challenges, with other concerns about high financing rates and lingering inflation, the geopolitical tensions. I think this is a great message to young Americans to upskill and think about vocational opportunities. There's alternatives to working in corporate America. Okay, we see new pathways to success by vocational trades, even careers that support robotics and automation. Okay, networking and software and coding careers in robotics and vocational skills. I think it's put a spotlight on the changing dynamics of the U.S. workforce, particularly in light of the wake of some of the recent major layoffs we've seen at companies like Amazon and Target, okay, and Salesforce. Okay, that's one thing to think about. I don't know what else you can do really. Sit back and get out the popcorn, enjoy the political theater this evening, and realize that politics has consequences. Companies very closely monitor politics. Politics drives where billions of dollars of corporate investment happen each year, and there will be severe economic consequences should Mamdani be victorious. Money goes where it's welcome. Okay, wealth goes where it's welcome. Companies and businesses go where they're welcome. Should Mamdani win, you're going to see a number of states roll out the red carpet. Okay, Florida, Texas, the Carolinas, Arizona. Okay, but also regional markets. Connecticut. Ned Lamont has talked about Connecticut being a landing spot for companies leaving New York. New Jersey. Jack Ciattarelli on the ballot tonight has talked about rolling out the red carpet for job creators and hardworking taxpayers in New York. And we're seeing Josh Shapiro in Pennsylvania improve his state's business climate, lowering taxes, embracing a more pro-business energy policy.
Are there any other headlines or storylines that I haven't touched on yet that you want to mention?
I think what's happening in New Jersey is also very interesting. It's something our clients are keeping a close eye on.